Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our industry training session today. This could possibly be our most important session that you'll watch all day today. Industry training is a fantastic element of ICMS and sets us apart from everybody else. And I'm really excited today to welcome my fellow colleague here online with us, Jennifer, from our industry training team, who's the manager of the team in our work integrated learning department. So good morning, Jen, and welcome.
Thank you, Phil. No pressure. You telling me that it's the most important session?
Well, I mean, it is. It's a very exciting session for me to be hosting today. So obviously, I'll let you jump straight into it. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and I'm really excited to see what you have in store.
Lovely. Thank you, Phil. So as Phil has mentioned, I am the Work Integrated Learning Manager here at ICMS. Now, Work Integrated Learning can also be called industry training. So there's a couple of different terms that you might hear me use through this presentation. It can also be shortened to WIL. So just in case I jump into any of those terms, then it all means the same thing. So here at ICMS, we are very, very proud of our industry training program. As you'll probably know, it's a significant element, and it's something that we've always found has been very important to our students and to our industry partners. So we were founded in 1996. Ever since that point, there's been an element of work integrated learning embedded into all courses at ICMS, because we believe that it's not only the classroom experience that the students benefit from, but also practical experience, either with our industry partners or through another method. I'll explain a little bit more about that later on. We're also almost 90% of graduates are employed in their fields before graduation. You may have seen this on the back of some buses around the Northern Beaches if you are in the local area. So obviously that statistic speaks for itself. We really would like to help students to move towards graduation and to move towards feeling confident that they're able to secure a role within the discipline of their choosing. So as we've said, the numbers do speak for themselves. Now, there's 2 WIL subjects in every degree at ICMS. So whether you're looking to study at undergraduate level or at postgraduate level, you'll be required to complete 2 terms of WIL or industry training. It's quite a long period of time for students to be getting experience. So we find that it's around 7 to 9 months. Now, this sets us apart from a lot of other colleges and universities, and it really gives the students a chance to dig their teeth into what they're doing. So you might find that in some other institutions, there's an element of work integrated learning. But because our program is so long, we find that students really do benefit from that, because they're able to be given tasks and projects of a higher responsibility. And so ultimately, when they finish their placement, they're in a better position to confidently enter the workplace. We place over 450 students per year. This is a lot, and I'll talk a little bit about how we do that later on. But it does mean that we have our work cut out for us in the work integrated learning department. We do have a dedicated team who are equally with myself, excuse me, who are passionate about placing the students into roles that they really are going to enjoy. Because as we say, it's a long time otherwise to not enjoy what you're doing. So we really want to make sure that there's a good fit between the student and the company. And we are very lucky to have worked with over 1,000 industry partners. I'm not saying that we speak to them every day, but since the college started, we've had a lot of companies and organisations who have either approached us or we've approached them because they've heard about our work integrated learning programme and they want to be aligned with us. So we're very happy to help support these industries as best we can by providing them with candidates and students who can help them out within their business. All right, so what is work integrated learning? Well, as I've said, it's the placement that takes place within every course at ICMS. So it can be called industry training, it can be called work integrated learning, it can be called WIL, whatever it's called, it all means the same thing, and it's all about helping students to get practical experience as part of their course. Now, why do we do this? Well, we believe that industry experience is as important as classroom-based learning. Don't tell our lecturers. But we do find also that our lecturers are very happy to align with us when it comes to employability. So you'll find that not only during the practical experience of industry training, there will be contact with people from the industry, but also throughout in subjects. And we work closely with our academic team to help them to find people to use for guest lectures, or there might be site visits. And so it's a really important experience for our students to be able to get out there in industry. And we also find that when students graduate from ICMS, they're in a better position to be able to hopefully find a job, because they can confidently say that they've had experience within a workplace for that discipline that they're studying. Now, how do we place students? Well, as I've mentioned, we have a dedicated team in the Work Integrated Learning department. So myself and my colleagues work closely with the students, and we're very lucky at ICMS, thanks to our size, that we really do form relationships with each and every one of our students. So we go through a mock interview process prior to industry training. There's a whole preparation program that the students will need to undertake, including not only the mock interview, but also resources that can help them to prepare for applying for a role in a workplace. So we'll help students with resume writing, cover letters if they need to, and interview skills. And because we have that chance to meet with students in a one-on-one setting for their mock interview, we find that it really helps them to be able to then move forward to that next stage, which is an interview with an industry partner or somebody who's looking to take them on for their industry placement. So our team is not only available during the preparation period for the students, but also during their entire industry training experience. So for that 7 to 9 months that the students are on their work placement, our team is still here. We don't just go home and put our feet up, but we're there to help support the students however they may need it. So if, for example, a student is having a challenge in the workplace, which can happen every now and again, we're very open with the students and we say to them they can get in contact with us anytime and we'll help them through it. Depending on the situation, we might suggest they speak with their colleagues, or we might just help them through whatever challenges they're facing at that time. Now, where do the industry training placements take place? Well, that very much depends on the students and on their personal circumstances. So it can be closer to home. They can also choose to travel a little bit if it's possible at that time. And so we have a discussion with each student, and this is the type of question that we talk about, because the basic logistics are very important to us. We want to make sure that students are able to actually get to their work placement. If we find that there's a student who's living maybe 2 hours away from where they're going to be placed, this might not mean that they're able to last the 7 to 9 months that we're looking for. So we're very realistic when we're talking to students and explaining opportunities to them, because we do want to make it as easy and smooth a process as possible for every student. So for undergraduate degrees, you'll find that industry training tends to fall in the second year. So students should have completed at least a year of studies by the time they start their industry placement. This is important for our industry partners because by this stage, the students should have some learning under their belts to be able to then move into a workplace and to be able to undertake tasks as necessary. Now, this is a traditional study plan, so it doesn't always work this way, but generally this is the plan that we would propose to students. So first year of studies, second year including 2 terms of will, and then they come back to ICMS for a third year where they'll complete further subjects. And often those subjects in the third year can be quite enlightening because they'll use and they'll be able to reflect on their industry experience during that time. Now for postgraduate courses, so there are two will subjects again. and these happen at the end of the course. Now, this is a great opportunity for postgraduate students because often we find that there are a lot of companies who have taken on an intern and absolutely love that intern. So they may want to offer the student an ongoing job afterwards. Now, if you're studying at postgraduate level, then you should have finished your course by the end of your industry placement, leaving you fully available to then take up a permanent position with that company. That's not to say that undergraduate students can't do that as well. So undergraduate students also, we have great success with companies wanting to keep them on afterwards. And what we would suggest is that maybe that takes place as a part-time role up until the student is graduating. So our industry connections are your industry connections, and we've worked with over 1,000 industry partners. That's not to say that we work with these partners each and every term. It very much depends on the availability of when they might have a role available. But we do speak with students about the industry partners that we've worked with in the past and see if there are any that may be of particular interest to them. Now, it wouldn't be, I suppose, honest of me to not bring up the fact that we are currently going through a lockdown in Sydney and a global pandemic, which you might say has caused some challenges for our WIL team here at ICMS, because it's maybe not the easiest time to find work placements for students. If I was sitting at home now as a prospective student, or if I was a parent looking to maybe send my child to ICMS, I'd want to be asking these questions about what on earth happens when we have a lockdown in Sydney. And the answer is that we've still managed to place students. So during the lockdown in 2020, at the very start, we actually had the same number of students that we would normally place during that term. So I think it just goes to show that the industry connections that we have here at ICMS are vitally important. And the best way to put yourself in a position to be able to look at getting a role is to align yourself with our team, because we've spent over 10 years now building up those relationships with our industry partners. And so when we reach out to them, we have a very good relationship. They trust us as well. And so if you are looking to secure a position through one of our industry partners, then by reaching out to our WIL team, we will be able to help you the best that we can. Now, we've had students who've been on placement during this pandemic, and obviously it's a challenging time for a lot of people. And I think that's what shows at ICMS as well, is that we really care about our students and we want to make sure that they're okay. So our team during these last couple of months have reached out to each of our students who have been on industry placement, who may have had their placement affected by the current COVID outbreak and lockdown. And we've had phone conversations with them. We've kept in touch by email. We've kept in touch however we can with those students to be able to support them, to answer any questions, to have a Zoom call if they want to, because sometimes it's just about human contact and them knowing that we're helping them in whatever way we can. So it's, as I say, been a challenging time, but it's been a very interesting time for our team as well. And there certainly are opportunities still out there. Even in this last week, I've had companies coming to me with opportunities and wanting to take on a student. So it's certainly not that lockdown has shut us down. So enrolments are now open. We hope that you'll join us. We'd love to see you at ICMS. For more information about our department and what we do, you can head to www.icms.edu.au/industry-training. Otherwise, if you do have any questions, I know Phil's going to ask me some questions in a second that might cover some of your questions. But if there is anything that we don't cover during this session, then you're very, very welcome to jump on the live chat and one of our team will be able to help you. Also, you can download our brochure through the website, and that will give you even more information about industry training and about life at ICMS in general. And back over to you, Phil.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jen. That was a really informative presentation. And I suppose, firstly, congratulations to you and your team on placing so many students during this global pandemic. I think really is a testament to you and the team. And I know these guys obviously very well as well. And you guys are a fantastic bunch to work with. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much. We're very happy to do our bit, and you've probably realised through the presentation that we're very proud of our ICMS industry training programme, and not just myself, but the other members of my team. We're very passionate about what we do, and what we really want to do is help students to get on the right path and to find experiences that are really valuable for them.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I noticed there was quite a few big names in that list, and that list is always evolving and always changing. But I mean, if I was a kid sitting in front of behind my computer at the moment, looking at those names and thinking where I want to go, you obviously have a lot of degrees in a lot of different areas: fashion, events, sport, tourism, straight business, marketing. The list goes on. I mean, those names are some pretty big names. But do you guide the students into the areas that they or the companies that they'll work with, or does a student come to you and say, "Look, I really want to work at this business, big or small," and you work with them to find the placement that's best suited?
A bit of both, really, and it very much depends on each and every individual student.
Okay.
And I think that's another reason why it's important for us to have that one-on-one contact with the student during the mock interview, which prepares them for their term of industry training.
Yep.
Because then we ask that sort of question. So we ask them if there are any particular companies that they're interested in working for. Now, sometimes there are answers which we're unable to fulfill. And we'll talk to the student about that. And we'll say to them, well, maybe this is not the chance for you to look at that company for industry training, because actually it's a relatively short period of time compared to your lifetime career. But how can we best help you get on the right path to be able to apply for that sort of job when you graduate? What we might do is we might suggest that the student looks at a job description for the company that they want to work for. And then they go through and they look at the skills and the qualifications that are required for that particular role. And if we can tick off a few of those during the industry placement process or during the time that they're actually on placement, then that's fantastic, because then they'll be able to walk into that interview with that particular company that they want to apply for and know that they'll be a good fit for that role.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, that really, I suppose, proves how we mentor the students through the process, because as you've just said, a student might come to us with maybe some goals which aren't quite aligned to where they are at this stage, but you really take them through the process to understand, look, you can end up at that job, and that's a fantastic goal in the short term or long term, and help them on the steps to get there. That's really exciting to see. So just to clarify, when students are doing placement, are they studying any academic subjects back here on campus as well, or are they pretty much just focused solely on getting the experience throughout that work integrated learning process?
That's a great question, Phil. And the answer is it depends on the situation again. I sound like a bit like a parrot here, but we don't want to overwhelm the students. We don't want them to take on too much. So if they're being offered a full-time role for their industry training placement, we would be suggesting that they don't take anything on in addition to that, because we really would like them to get the most that they can out of their placement. Now, if it's a part-time role and the student would like to study a subject or two alongside industry training, then usually that's absolutely fine. We would have a discussion with them, and our team would speak with the student to make sure they're not taking on too much, and then they would be able to do so. So they can take up to 2 subjects at undergraduate level alongside industry training. At postgraduate level, they can take 1 subject alongside industry training.
Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Thanks for clarifying that. And look, you talk about full-time, part-time placements, which is obviously important to understand. And we have international students, obviously not right now with the borders closed, but as the borders gradually open, hopefully soon, our international students as well are coming back. But also just as relevant for domestic students, are these roles paid part-time, paid full-time? Are they kind of a mixture of both, with maybe an allowance for students to cover basic costs and that kind of thing?
The roles are dependent on the industry that they choose when it comes to payment. So if it's a hospitality role, or if it's a retail role, and they're really entering the workforce to do something that the company would usually advertise for somebody, then it should be paid. Absolutely. And our team is very clear with our industry partners to make sure that that does happen. If it's in a different industry, let's say events or sports or fashion, then quite often what you'll find is that it could be a part-time placement, unpaid or with an allowance, so some money to go towards travel. Usually that works quite well. So if it's 2 or 3 days per week unpaid, we suggest to the student that they can still find a paid part-time job alongside that. And it means that they've still got that income from the part-time job and that they are able to get the experience that they want with the company. Now, it's important also to note that there are no fees for industry training. So they wouldn't have to pay the same amount for subjects as they normally would do, which obviously also helps as well at that time.
Yeah, of course. So would you say the priority here in this process is the experience that you get in your CV and the experience you get working at these places, not so much the financial benefit of this process?
100%. And the way that we talk to students about it is that it is an investment. So it's an investment into their future. And if they really can make it work for that period of industry training, as I have mentioned, there have been many companies who've looked back and decided to hire one of their previous interns. And why wouldn't they? It's a fantastic test and a fantastic recruitment stream for companies to be able to do that. Because if they've got an entry-level position coming up and they can see that they've had one of our students who has committed the time, even on an unpaid basis for an internship for a certain period of time, then they'll automatically call that person if they're right for that job. And it saves the company a lot of time and money. And also it puts the student or the graduate in a really great position. So we do often use that word investment because it is investing in their future. And if they can make it work unpaid or on an allowance for this industry training period, then it often stands them in good stead with the company if there are any roles coming up in the future.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fantastic to hear. And I suppose, as you know, I've been involved with this institution just as long as you have. And I would say that feedback I see from students as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that students can find out in this process maybe what they don't want to do long term. They might have a perception of something or of a section of the industry going into placement, and that's what they would think they would do for the next 20 or 30 years, but they actually find out in this process that they don't quite like that angle. It wasn't what they thought, and they make a bit of a shift, post placement. And then when they go for their first, post graduation role, they're really going off on an angle that suits them more so than they thought prior to placement. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and that's just as important sometimes as finding what you do want to do is finding what you don't want to do. So I think that there's a perception before entering the workplace in a certain discipline that it can work in a certain way, and maybe that's not tied to who you are as a student or who you want to be as a graduate. I do have an example of when that exact case did happen. So there was a student who thought that he wanted to work in marketing and thought he was suited to marketing. And then he came to me and we had a discussion, and I ended up placing him in a finance-based company. And now he's graduated and now he works in finance in the sort of insurance side of things. So he realized during that industry training period that the finance and the insurance industry was far more suited to his strengths and his skills than what he had thought before, which was marketing. So it is quite an eye-opener sometimes for students as well. Not every day is wonderful, I'm sure that we've all had jobs, everybody out there that I'm talking to. I'm sure that not every day has been sunrises and sunsets like this beautiful one behind me. But we do want students to enjoy the experience as well. So if we can make sure that the majority of the time they are having a valuable and enjoyable experience, then we're doing our job right. Yeah,
fantastic. And I suppose that example you gave is a really good demonstration of how all of our degrees have that core business element to them. So even if a student does, complete with a marketing major with business, they can switch industries as long as they take their core business skills with them. So I think that's a perfect example of how we're structured and how well it works. So yeah, thank you for that. You did mention just before work experience and obviously the CVs and that kind of thing. What if someone comes to ICMS already with, considerable experience or, a decent amount of experience anyway, along the enrollment process. Does that sort of change the types of roles and places you'll look to place that student, or how does it work with those types of people?
It can do, yes. And also, if a student does come to ICMS and has a significant amount of work experience within the industry for the discipline that they're studying, we can also look potentially at an exemption or recognition of prior learning, which means that you wouldn't necessarily have to complete the industry training because you already feel that you've got enough out of the industry already through your prior experience.
Okay.
So that's something that can be looked at with the enrollments team and the admissions team. Absolutely. We do find that sometimes students do come to ICMS with a significant amount of experience, but they still want to do industry training. So they still want to benefit from our industry partners, which again is absolutely fine as well. And we would have that discussion with the student at the time that it comes to prepare for industry training if necessary.
Okay. Yeah, great. And look, for any students who are in that stage and they're watching at the moment, then obviously just talk to your student advisor. Or if you haven't got one at the moment, once you apply, then you'll be allocated a student advisor and they can guide you in that process and even put you in touch with Jen and her team for any more advice as needed. So, look, Jen, I think just to wrap up, obviously over 1,000 industry partners is an incredible feat. And the university sector at the moment is really trying to play catch up in this space, and they're working out it's very hard and it's very difficult to get good, strong connections, particularly, some institutions have 66,000 students enrolled, and that's very difficult to place and also place them for 9 months like we do. So what's your team's secret? How do you make this process so successful?
Magic potions, Phil, of course. No, we make it successful because of the passion that we bring to what we do. And so our team really do love speaking with our students. We love speaking with the industry partners. It's very satisfying for us when there's a good match. It's the best news in the world when there's been a student that has been offered an ongoing job or role after they finish their industry placement, because that's really what we do want, both from the student side and the industry partner side. So we're really looking at two different groups of stakeholders that we deal with in the WIL department, and we're wanting to make those great matches. It's a bit like matchmaking, I suppose. We want to place the right student in the right company that's going to work for them. I think that sets us apart from maybe larger institutions who don't have the capacity or who don't have the dedicated team to be able to do that and to be able to work one-on-one with the students. So we're very thankful to ICMS for allowing us to have the opportunity to be able to do that and to be able to help students in their future careers.
Fantastic. Well, we're very thankful for what you and your team does as well. I know all the students I've spoken to over the many years here are also very appreciative. So once again, thank you to you and your team. So look, I think that probably wraps up the industry training session today, Jen. That was very informative, and I know I got a lot out of it. And as I said, I've been doing this for quite a while. So thank you for making some really clear points today. And for any students watching, this really does set ICMS apart from other institutions, because ultimately, yes, you study to have fun, and you will have fun when you study here at ICMS, but you study for a career and you study for a degree that gets you your foot in the door and sets you up for long-term success. So this really does set you apart from other graduates across the whole sector. So I really hope you take some time to look into this and find a future career here today, because we're really excited to see you come through the door. And Jen's team as well is really excited to work with you and place you in your future job. So anything else from you, Jen, or is that all?
No, just thank you to anyone and everyone watching, and I hope it's been valuable for you. I hope it has answered some questions. As I said, if there are any other questions that you have while watching this presentation, you're very welcome to jump onto the live chat, and one of our lovely ICMS team will be able to help you, or we'll be able to put you in contact directly with our team if necessary as well.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so guys, jump on the live chat with any questions, both today or into the future on our website. We're always here to help. So once again, thank you, Jen, and everyone. Hope you have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at ICMS in February 2022. Thank you very much.
Thank you.